Hi everyone. I put a thing on my story recently about one day and asked if people would like to see actually what went into making the track. And there was enough people that I guess expressed an interest in it, and so I thought, well, I might as well do a video. So this is the one day session. It's the stems, unfortunately, not the multi-tracks, but it's quite comprehensive in terms of the breakdown. We asked for quite comprehensive stems from Charlie, just because when you're implementing stuff for a live show, you want to make sure you've got enough flexibility to be able to, take a certain section that you might not be able to play live, and sometimes having that isolated is really important. So I'll try not to be too long, but this is this is one day. So it's quite a straightforward session, actually. You can have a look that we've got, drums, percussion, bass, some piano, guitars, vocals. Quite straightforward. So I'll just dive straight in, really. With the drum kit, let me just ungroup that for a second. So with the drums, it's kind of built up of a few stems here. We've got the main drum kit. We've got drum kit reverb. We've got some cymbals as well, which were done as overdubs. So the drums sound like this. So quite crunchy, quite sort of compressed. So that's really cool. And then adding in the reverb, which is just taken from the snare. So that's just gated going in from the snare. So every time the snare hits, it'll fire into the reverb. And then we've got these cymbals, which are just kind of accenting and doing pushes. Sometimes it's nice to break things apart a bit. We did that on a couple of tracks. I think we did it on this one. I think we did it on Ordinary Girl. We were a bit more modular with how we built the tracks up. So that's why things are a bit more split up. There's basically all the drums recorded, kick, snare, hat, but no cymbals. We just did them on the top. We then got a cabassa and a shaker, which kind of do sort of, I guess, like the same sort of thing as each other. And the cabassa kind of goes through most of the second half of the track. So again, it's just doing kind of what will be eighth notes because we're at 140. Again, so they just kind of complement everything that's happening. So that's the beat. The next couple of stems that I want to show you are the bass moog and the reverse piano. So these are kind of fundamentals of the song that run through the entirety. Everything kind of is built, I guess, upon these two parts. So you've got the bass. So yeah, and then other than that, most of it's just single notes, really, just the roots running through. There's a pulled off cut off that opens up as we get sort of further into the track. Which is nice. It just kind of gives it a bit more growl, gives it a bit more bite, sort of fills it up a bit. We used the Moog Voyager for this. I think it was the Citadel patch And I think that's basically, well, that's kind of what we based it around, and then sort of edited that as a starting point. And I think it was two saws and a sine wave. Pretty like straight down the middle, really. Nothing, nothing too crazy. And then that kind of brings us into the reverse piano, which is then accompanied by a non-reversed piano in the choruses, which adds a bit of attack. So you're probably very familiar with this. So it's all just reversed. So it's the chords played and then just reversed and then put in order. Same with the chorus. And then when you bring in the chords, it just gives the attack, because the attack is lost when it's reversed, unfortunately. So that just helps with that. And then we'll bring the bass. So that kind of that sort of underpins the whole track. If we then bring all of the percussion elements in, and I'll go from the second chorus. And there's a little bit of a side chain on the bass. There's a couple of side chains on a couple of parts, just to help that kick sort of sit a bit better in the mix. So if I just solo this bass, and especially at the end, you'll hear it. So you can hear that just sort of ducks in volume, and that just helps to bring everything out from the drum kit. Sometimes kicks can get a bit lost. It's quite a common approach. You hear it a lot in dance music, where there's really heavy ducking, which kind of creates that sort of like riser sound, like mup, 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 which is cool, but it's very stylized. You can use it very, very subtly. So then the next part really is the lead. It's the dulcimer part. If you don't know what dulcimer is, YouTube it. But also, it's a really cool instrument. It's I think it's an Eastern instrument. It's basically like strung. It's kind of a bit like a mandolin, a bit like a sitar. It's played with hammers, and it doesn't have much body, but it's got this amazing timbre to it. As you'll hear, there's lots of resonant strings. But because, as you can hear, it hasn't got much body, we added in a little piano that's just doing single notes underneath it, which adds the mid-range. And that just helps just to give it a bit more body. Because, like a xylophone or anything like that, they generally don't have much mid-range because of how they play. They normally have quite like a hard mallet or something like that. And that just helps just to give that a little bit more presence in the mid-range. And then next is just the guitars. There's quite a lot of guitars, actually. When we look at what we've got here in these stems, we've got 12 string, we've got various single notes, we've got stuff that's processed through a Leslie, we got some EBow, which is really cool. So we'll just start with the 12 string, which comes in the second chorus, and it's just giving that nice strummy Bob Dylan vibes. And it's helping to accentuate the pushes as well that you get on the piano. But it's a little bit softer, and it kind of rounds the edges off, which is really, really, really nice. Again, it's just texture, it's percussive, it's nice. It kind of works with the shakers, but it's musical. We then got the electric, which kind of, I guess the main like parts, they all kind of work together as one. So we have this in the intro. And again, that kind of repeats itself in the second verse. Obviously, these are mixed stems, so you can see the automation that's happened. But then when we come into the bigger sections, it's more sort of really strummed out and a bit more drivey and a bit more open. And then we've got a couple of bits. Actually, if I just move these up together, you can see how the waveforms are slightly louder on one side. And these two sections are, they kind of work together in the left and right spectrum. So this is our left side, which is the Leslie process. Which is really cool, and you get that nice like whirring of the Leslie. But then when both sides come in together, so you get that interplay, that call and response. And then when it comes into the chorus, which again, it just adds more of those pushes, adds more of that kind of sonic reference to what's happening in the other parts. We do have this kind of in the intro, which you can actually hear these really nice kind of weird delay, kind of pitch shifted guitars. So you can kind of hear it just adds like nice little textures and layers. One of the things that we were pretty keen on was having intricate parts within the track, and working with Charlie Andrew, who produced the record. If you ever listen to anything that he's done, it's all like that. It's all about really intricate interplay between parts. And also not being afraid to push the envelope a little bit about what the part is, like what's being played. Is it a guitar? Is it a synth? Is it a dulcimer? Is it, you know, what is it? And that really challenged and informed our creativity when it came to actually putting together a lot of the songs. And I think that's really important when you are making a song in general, is to have something which or someone who can really inform and push your creativity to places that will make a song even better than you thought it could be. And coming back to these guitars, we've then got, as you can see in the sort of the main section towards the end, we've got these single notes, which are basically just octaves. And as you can see, they're slightly panned left and right. And they're doing the same thing, it's just one's the octave of the other. And then that obviously is mixed in with the ebow. And these just create textures. And the ebo's got a bit of a side chain on it as well, just to again help that kick to breathe. And that's the instrumentation, really. It's quite straightforward. You know, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but it's just choosing things that are interesting and finding bits that you know, kind of elevate the song. But it's like new soundscapes. It's things that excite the palate for the listener. And I guess one of the other things that's, you know, quite, I guess, forward with this is the fact that there's not a great deal of backing vocals. There's no like harmony tracks really. It's just Laura singing the song. I mean, we're really lucky that Laura, you know, is the singer of Anteros, and she can just smash it every single time. She doesn't need harmonies. She doesn't need backing vocals. She's just bam there on the money. And I think this song as well really kind of, I guess, warranted that. You know, just listen to this. I mean, we've got basically a vocal. There's a dry stem there, which has just got nothing on it, but the processing, which is obviously what's important to listen to. It's just her and a slapback, and then a reverb.
And before we fly, we're curving in and out through time. They say we all grow up one day.
Like, yeah, great. You know,
Run before we fly, we're curving.
And then just a bit more drive into the vocal.
They said we all grow up.
And then if we bring in that reverb,
when we land.
it's just a really nice kind of like hall reverb. I think it was a Lexicon. I think it was a 480. But it's just nice. It sets it in space. But also, when we were listening through, we're like, we don't really need a great deal of backing vocals and harmonies and stuff like that. We tried it and it just didn't work. So when we actually did come to it, we're like, well, gang vocals, that's kind of cool. So we've got these like super raucous gang vocal tracks, you know. And like some of it's like not even like that tuneful. It doesn't have to be, you know. And then we've got ones that are just kind of more just like us in the room, just having a good time. Probably like late night. We've all had a couple of glasses of red wine at this point. But you know, that was it for the backing vocals. And then, other than that, we've then got this really cool kind of processed vocal of Laura's, which is again is really, really prominent. But it's just a pitch shifted, you know, verby, delay, kind of distorted vocal. But the reality is that when you actually look at the breakdown of the parts of this song, it's really, really straightforward. It's really, really, really simple. And when you then listen to everything together, like from here, from the, you know, I'll take it from the all grow up state here. Let me just unsolo that. So yeah, you know, it doesn't need to do anything more than that. You know, it's big, it's doing the thing, it's crescendoing, it's taking you on a journey from the start to the end, and then it just falls away, and the filters come down on everything and on the drums. And you know what? I think we live in a society now, especially now, where things are so overproduced. There's like loads of like songs that have like stacks and stacks and stacks of vocals. They have like loads of synths and they have like loads of drum processing. And sometimes I kind of feel like people are almost afraid to come back to the simplicity and come back to just actually being considered about the choices that they make with the parts that they introduce into songs. And, you know, like with this production, it's so straightforward. It's drums, it's bass, it's piano, and it's some guitar tracks. And then it's a really killer vocal. And there's no need for any other reinforcement because all the parts are doing exactly what they should. And as a producer, I say this to a lot of artists that I work with, that you have to make sure that what is in the track serves the track. There's no point just filling it with loads of stuff. There's no point just filling it with like loads and loads and loads of you know, backing vocals because you feel like you need that reinforcement. It's like, well, maybe the vocal performance for the lead is wrong. You know, maybe you need to go back and rethink that. And I think it's really important to challenge in this day and age those types of decisions. Like, would you put a dulcimer in a track? It sounds amazing, so why not? Like, would you be more atmospheric with your guitars? Like, are you going to actually not write a guitar part and just be like, actually, kind of what fits? And it's just really important that we entertain the palette with the music that we produce. But also I think that we enjoy that process, that we're not doing it just because we feel like, oh, because so-and-so has put X amount of backing vocals or X amount of double, triple, quadruple tracks of a part, that we have to do exactly the same. We don't. And actually, if you're enjoying where the track is at and you have that feeling of achievement with it, then generally speaking, it's probably in the right place. And also just kind of mixing as you go, you'll feel what is right and what isn't. And there's definitely something which I have so much fondness for about When We Land as a record is its entirety, is that we had the time, 7 weeks or so, to make this record and to make those decisions. And I know people, generally speaking, sometimes don't even get 2 weeks to make an album, let alone that amount of time. But we were able to be considered, we were able to make the right decisions, and I think that ultimately the record has sort of stood the test of the last 5 years and still feels as fresh and still feels as relevant and still feels as enjoyable as when we made it 5 years ago. And it's the same even with tracks that weren't released, like this wasn't released, and I still have that affection, I still have that love for the parts, and I still am excited about it. I still want to listen to it again and again and again. And I know it sounds, it could sound egotistical because it's your own creation, but I love it. I'm proud of it, and it excites me. And I think that's what we need to have in music now. And hopefully, running through this will inspire some of you who are watching this into making those decisions, into being more creative, and to not being afraid of being bold with decisions, whether that's how you present the vocal, or whether that's just being a bit more non-linear with other parts and other instruments. But whatever comes from this video and whoever this reaches, I just hope that you have enjoyed seeing the process, and that some of this process will inspire you and will inform you, and that you can go on to make amazing music that also inspires other people. So thank you for watching this video, and maybe I'll do some more. Who knows?